Well everyone, it's time for us to go and take a look at the iPhone 8 and see how this particular phone holds up in the later part of 2024. Now, the big thing to keep in mind is that for almost every single person out there, I probably would not recommend going through and buying this type of device at all. It genuinely does not make any sense to go and buy an iPhone 8 anymore, and the reason for that is because this phone has been outdated with software for a bit of time. So because of that, it just doesn't make any sense to go and buy this type of device, so keep that in mind. But I will tell you, in almost every single way, there's a lot of other phones you can go and buy that make a lot more sense to go and pick up than this thing. So gotta keep that in mind. Number one, the outside of this phone still looks and feels pretty good. You know, it doesn't feel like the cheapest phone of all time. You're getting a 4.7-inch Retina IPS LCD panel on this thing, which I think in and of itself is kind of a nice thing. You know, it's not like a super ugly or terrible panel, which I think is a very important thing to keep in mind. 720p, you can force touch on it, which is nice. Big bezels with that home button. So definitely an outdated type of design when it comes down to it, without a doubt. Now you are basically getting, a standard lightning port at the bottom, which is still kind of outdated too. You're getting a standard glass back on the back of this phone too, which is another really, really big asset with a single camera setup. So with this type of phone, you are actually getting like a pretty good, feeling phone. Like it does feel pretty expensive. It just so happens that it is somewhat of like an outdated phone. Most phones nowadays have, OLED displays. They have MagSafe, they have multiple camera setups, they have way less bezel than this thing, and they have Face ID and a notch, or dynamic island. This thing doesn't really have those things, and it definitely shows that it's like a 7-year-old phone as of this point. Now on top of that, another very big thing to keep in mind here too is that with this particular phone, you are also getting a phone that's pretty much already done getting software updates. So that is kind of the problem that you're going to be getting with this type of phone, because it is already done getting software, and you probably want to get a phone that's going to be giving you software updates still. This phone is not going to be giving you any sort of software updates, and that is somewhat of the downside you're going to be getting if you're going to be getting this type of phone. So once again, kind of keep that in mind. It's not the biggest deal in the world, but that is one thing you're going to be experiencing. If you are going to be getting this type of device, you're probably going to be experiencing that this device is a little bit outdated when it kind of comes down to it, from that software standpoint. And on top of that, the performance of this phone, it's not the best performing device anymore, as you could probably imagine. This phone is going to be giving you that Apple A11 Bionic chip with 2 gigabytes of RAM. So this is in and of itself another very important thing to keep in mind here. Like this phone in so many ways is not only outdated, the performance really isn't terrible though. It's really not that bad of a performing device. And I do think that in and of itself is actually kind of a nice thing going on for this phone. Like it is a phone that you can go ahead and buy, and if you needed to go and get a phone that's going to be giving you a decent experience, like this thing's not going to be terrible, but it's really not going to be that great either. And that is somewhat of the downside you're going to be experiencing with this type of phone when it kind of comes down to it. So in my personal opinion, I really don't think it would make any sense for really anybody to go ahead and buy something like an iPhone 8 anymore. I think there are substantially way better phones I'd recommend people to go ahead and buy rather than this device. I think an iPhone, like an iPhone 12, is a really, really good phone that's only like 3 years newer than this one. But that one was a really, really good phone in my personal opinion. Same thing could be said about the iPhone 13s, even the iPhone 11, even the iPhone XR is a way better phone than the iPhone 8. So from that side, that kind of covers it up there. If you have any other thoughts or questions, let me know in the comment section below. Hit the like button, that'll mean so much, but definitely hit that subscribe button. More importantly than everything else, I love every single one of you guys. Hopefully I'll catch you guys in the next video. Peace out till then.